As most of you watching probably remember, a short couple weeks ago on our channel, we did a budget plane week. And as most of you probably remember, they were all flops. The last one was okay, but the whole week was so bad. How I wish we had this mini AEROSCOUT ready to fly to be featured during budget plane week, because it would have, I think, inevitably been the rock star of the week. I'm very excited because the full-size AEROSCOUT ready to fly and bind and fly are both amazing, but if your budget doesn't allow it, or you just want something a little smaller and easier to pack around and definitely more budget friendly, then here we have the brand new ready to fly mini AEROSCOUT. The best news about this plane is that it is under $100 ready to fly, and we just don't see that for things that are this big and this high level of quality. I have it still in the box because I want to show you guys, especially those of you that are beginners, learning to fly, wanting to fly something for the very first time, how easy this is to get it in the air. So we're going to go through the whole process together, then we're going to fly it and let you know if it's worth your hard-earned money. Let's put it together and fly. It is very rare for us to do anything like this on the channel, but I just wanted this kind of to be an exception, because I think a lot of beginners are going to fly this, you know, so we're just going to pop this together. There's one little tab that holds the main wing on. You got your landing gear. Boy, this reminds me so much of some of my first airplanes I ever flew, Abby. They looked a lot like this, but they weren't this cool, and they weren't 99 bucks either. Well, here's some exciting news for everybody. This is a 1S Spectrum Smart battery. They finally got them with a JST plug, and it comes with this nice little USB charger, so you can charge this from your phone charger. You can charge it in the car, at home, wherever is convenient for you. And we'll have spare batteries linked in the description box below. What'd that take, about 20 seconds or so? You turn your radio on, then you plug in your flight battery, and you're ready to go. This thing is crazy awesome, and I love that it's so fast and easy to put together and take apart, because if you are limited on space, you can then put this back in the box for storage and transportation. Let's fly. Here we go, moment of truth. We're going to do a ground takeoff since we have the runway. And this is a 3-channel airplane, so we have elevator, rudder, and throttle, all variable. Very nice. It's been a while since I've flown a little 3-channel plane, Abby. Wow, right over it. So I love the stripes on the bottom. That's super cool. And what we're going to be looking for in today's video is a flight time too. Need a little more throttle just to power through this wind that we have picking up. Now this is going to perform best in no wind or very little wind, but if you're slightly experienced, then you can fly in some wind. Now that I got about 3/4 throttle, it seems to be trugging right along pretty smooth. Look, the birds like me. Look at them all. All the birds love me. Yeah, I'm the leader of the pack. Let's go, guys. Whoa! They are checking the mini AEROSCOUT out. Oh, I'm happy to be flying. Really happy. So when I go over the little hill there, I hit this really funny pocket of wind. I always like to listen to who's radioing in. That picks up,
they can even hear it.
All picks it up super far away. That's awesome. We're gonna do some rare right-handed turns. And actually, I feel like I need just a touch of trim. So what that means is my airplane is turning right a little bit on its own. So I'm gonna push the left trim button, and hopefully that helps it out a bit. So Abby and I are hoping to pick up a second one of these sometime soon and fly them together when we do our GoPro style of videos. I think we're gonna have to get a second one of these. These will just be really fun to fly around. Now, you don't need a lot of space to fly this. I wasn't sure how wide the turns were gonna be flying this, so we could go take this to like the baseball field, Abby.
Yeah.
And fly it there,
for sure.
or just at the park. Maybe at the track or something. We could fly this just about anywhere. It's flying so smooth. I want to see if I can take it up pretty high and maybe do a loop with this thing. Now this is meant to be a budget-friendly, ready-to-fly trainer plane. So it's not really designed to be a stunt plane, but I think we might be able to do a loop with it. I feel like I have just enough control to pull that off. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Nose down, throttle up, and pull back. Can it do it? Almost. I think with the right wind, we could do it. Let's try one more time. I'm not gonna give up after one try. Okay. More speed. And with more speed, no, not almost. You could call that a 90% loop, maybe. Well, you see how the wing is curved, right? The main flight wing?
Yeah.
That's called wing dihedral. And so when you have wing dihedral on an airplane, it sure does not like to go upside down. So that wing dihedral alone is enough to help keep this airplane level, which helps with training. All right, I want to try a bit of a, kind of a touch and go, maybe like a rough landing here. See how we can do on the asphalt with this little guy. There's 0 throttle, glides well, and we'll, oh, look at that pocket of wind. There we go, not bad, not bad. We're gonna take off again, nose into the wind, pull back on that right stick, and full throttle. Now I'm gonna click that right stick while I'm in the air and see if I can feel a difference. Okay, so there's a short beep. And I feel like that's gotta be lower rates. To me, that feels like lower rates. I feel like I have wider turns and less elevator control. When I get the longer beep, I can turn much sharper. And yeah, oh yeah, definitely. So the short beep is low rates. The long beep is higher rates. And I think it started us off in higher rates by default. So keep that in mind. If you need it to fly a little more docile, you're just a new beginner pilot, you can go to the low rates and it won't be as sensitive. Now, of course, a beginner pilot should fly a lot higher than what I'm flying. I like to fly nice and low. I think it just looks cool to see the horizon when you're flying your plane. The best thing about the AEROSCOUT, and now the Mini AEROSCOUT, I think, is the shape of the airplane and where they mounted the motor and the prop. Because the prop is not only behind the airplane, but it's up above the fuselage or the body. If you would crash or hit tall grass or something, you're less likely, way less likely to break your prop, burn up the motor, ESC, any of the good stuff inside. And if you land in tall grass, one of the easiest mistakes beginner pilots will make with drones, airplanes, and helicopters is to leave the throttle on just by mistake. You might land in tall grass and you're like, oh, panicking for a second, and for maybe 5-10 seconds you have full throttle on, because that's where you were when you went down. And if your prop can't move or the motor's not spinning, you can burn it up. But because this prop and motor are mounted up in the back of the airplane, you're going to be way less likely to burn anything up. I want to take this really high now and then glide. We're going to do a glide test and see how this does with 0 power. So if you're up really high and your battery dies, will you be able to glide it back down and feel like you have control over it? I love the size of this. It's big enough to be categorized almost with some of my bigger hobby grade airplanes. For $100, you usually don't get an airplane this big, and certainly not at this performance. So we're up pretty high. I'm going to 0 throttle here. Absolutely 0 throttle. How do we glide? Giving a little bit of up elevator. Not a bad glide, Abby. Not a bad glide. You're gonna like flying this.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Lost a little altitude there on that wingtip stall because we don't have power on. That's okay. We'll do a touch and go. There's full throttle. Little bouncy nice. Touch and go. This is a fun little plane. I love it. It's gonna look so cool sitting by our big AeroScout, your big AeroScout. I love that they're keeping people that want to get in the hobby that are on a budget like in mind with this plane. Because the AeroScout is amazing for anybody wanting to get in the hobby. I agree. I'll always probably recommend that as the first plane. But if you're on a budget,
then this is perfect.
Maybe this would be more of a kid-friendly plane.
For sure.
You know, kid at heart too, of course. Like, you don't want to buy a $220 airplane. I can't remember how much the AeroScout Ready to Fly is, but maybe you don't want to spend that much money on a kiddo. This does fly really well. Now, the full-size AeroScout, take my word, flies significantly better than this. It has way more power.
Has ailerons.
And ailerons. It has safe, right? It's got a lot of technology built into it.
It's bigger.
If your budget allows, please do yourself a huge favor and check out the Ready to Fly AeroScout, not the Mini. What we'll do is link that in the description box below too, because remember, if you're liking what you're seeing and you're like, you know what, I'd be happy to double the money to get 10 times the performance, then you should, okay? But if you're right there on that sweet spot of $100, this is gonna go a long way. We're getting a nice flight time on this too. I was a little worried. Nice flight time. So someone flying over is really chatty right now. More than me. They're chattier than me, Abby. We have if you click the left stick, you can bind the aircraft, which we don't need to do. And then of course you can click the right stick, as I said, to adjust your rates. Everything is done with your left hand is throttle, okay? So if you want more juice, doesn't mean you go higher, but left stick is more throttle. There's full throttle. We're just cruising right along. And then you just hold around 3/4 throttle is your nice cruising speed. And then you just use the right stick to completely control your airplane. If you want to turn left, you just push this thing left a hair. If you want to go up, you actually pull back on that right stick. Now, if you start slowing down and stalling, I'll let you follow the plane again. You don't want to keep climbing forever. This plane doesn't have the best climbability, so let me show you what I'm talking about. You're full throttle and you pull back on that right stick, but if you start to stall, get out of the sun, and the plane's not going up anymore, it's time to nose down a hair and pick up air speed. You want to maintain a good cruising speed. Forward motion is really good for airplanes. It means it can maintain lift. This is such a cool plane. I'm impressed with this flight time. And I think too, this could easily handle more than an 800 milliamp battery, which is what comes with it. And again, a JST plug. So good on Spectrum with their Spectrum smart batteries, and good on the AeroScout brand here for not limiting you with a proprietary battery. This can take any JST plug 1S LiPo, but I do highly, highly, highly recommend you do it right and just get a good brand. You know, batteries, it's kind of like, would you put sand in your fuel tank or sugar in your fuel tank of your real car, you know, or go buy, if a gas station said they had gas for 50 cents, you might wonder why. Why is that gas 50 cents? They might have some sand in there or something. I wouldn't put that in my car. I'm not out there buying premium fuel, but I'm not putting in the cheap garbage either. Your batteries can make or break your RCs, whether they're trucks, planes, race drones, and most guys that have been in the hobby for a while, they know that. But if you're just getting into the hobby, it's worth spending the extra couple bucks on a brand, not just because it's more expensive, but because it has a high performance. And you take somebody's word for it that's been in the hobby for a long time. We know what batteries are good and not so good. You know, Venom are great batteries, but these, I'm so happy to see that Spectrum has smart batteries that are these little Spectrum branded 1S batteries. That makes me happy. Really does. Okay, this flight time is crazy. I was expecting to show you guys the whole flight. What we're gonna do is full throttle this now. Just go crazy. We're just gonna go nuts. See if we can get this battery to go low, because we don't want an hour-long video here. There, that's it. Okay, so I'm full throttle, and what has happened is it's cut me down to what sounds about like 30% throttle. Gives me just enough power to bring it in and land it. So let's do that. Well, that worked out perfect. I probably could have flown for 30 more seconds or so.
It's like an 11-minute flight time,
That's amazing.
Good job.
For something under $100, completely ready to fly in that size, that large of a wingspan, you're not gonna find a whole lot better out there. I'm really excited that they decided to take their very successful AEROSCOUT and make a mini version and hit that price point. I think that's the key thing to factor in here, because there's a couple things missing that I personally would have loved to have seen on the mini AEROSCOUT. If money wasn't a factor, I'd like to see a brushless motor in here instead of brushed, and I would have liked to have seen safe technology packed into this thing too, but then we're not hitting that price point, and who knows, maybe they would have had to scale this down to half the size that it is now. Maybe if we all complain loud enough, we could see a UMX version of this that would be bind and fly. Come on, UMX version of the AEROSCOUT. I'd like to see that.
It's a whole nother brand. They'd have to sell the plane.
Oh, it'd be cool though, wouldn't it? Well, we still have power, even with a low battery. So I was at full throttle. That's full throttle, and you can hear that's way slower of an RPM, but we still have enough juice to give us power to bring it in and land it, and I like that a lot. They hit the nail on the head with the money that they were shooting for, which is $100. I'm a huge fan of this. Bear in mind what you're lacking and what you're getting for $100, and I think you'll be very happy with this. Again, if your budget allows for it, I highly recommend you pick up the larger AEROSCOUT, because you will be very happy with that. Maybe you start with this and then upgrade to the larger AEROSCOUT.
Or if you're like me and you love your AEROSCOUT and you just have to have this because it's so cute.
It is,
I
yeah.
love it. I can't wait to fly it for you guys, which will be very soon, so make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Well, I'm thankful for today, the success of the flight, this beautiful weather that we had to come out and fly, and for all of that, I thank God. I also want to say a huge thank you to all of our Patreon supporters, because we could not do our channel without you guys. From $1 or more, you mean the world to us. You are the fuel to the fire that keeps us going. We thank you guys so much. We will have one of our full-size AEROSCOUT videos popping up right about now. Maybe one where Abby's flying. Thanks for watching. We'll see you there.